What up, everyone? You know who I am. I'm Jack Slater, aka the Comic Outlaw. And yeah, we're gonna finish this chapter up right now of ElfQuest, Book 2. The elves have been through a lot of different stuff. They've had their home burnt. They went to the desert. They found other elves. And now they've come back. They come back to their woods. After all this time, they've come full circle. But they're entering the Forbidden Grove. Yes, our elves have wandered through the forest, and now they found this area, this unknown spot called the Forbidden Grove. And basically, I'm just gonna go over on what has been happening. Like they've been on a big mission, a big journey to kind of find their way in and out of the forest, and there's something beyond it. And as you can tell, the forest has a lot of bad things in it. I mean, they cut one of these webbings loose, and a bird flies out. So imagine the size of the spider that it would take to make that. This is the Forbidden Grove. This is the forest beyond the forest. Something is calling out to them. And that's why they're investigating. Trying to find what they're searching for, what's calling out to them. And the possibility that there might be more elves. But as Cutter's looking around, he hears something cry out. He cuts the webbing and finds that it's a puppy, a wolf pup. And his wolf mount had recently gotten too old and passed away in the forest. And as he hugs the puppy, he thinks about his daughter, his children, his wife, everything in his life, for he is no longer just a warrior, he's also a family man. Meanwhile, Skywise is kind of passed out. It seems like he's getting webbed up by these little fairies. And basically, Cutter comes and saves him, kind of cuts Skywise loose. And it's kind of interesting that it wasn't a big spider. That's why I kind of wanted to throw out that misdirect. And it's just these little fairies that kind of wrap everything up and slowly suck out their blood or eat them. It's very fascinating how sometimes the smallest creature in the forest can oftentimes be the dangerous and most colorful. Look at poisonous tree frogs, for example. But anyways, they get a little confession, from the thing as Cutter's trying to get information on what's beyond. And before the creature actually gives him any definite answer, the creature blows a big wad of web in his face and flies off, leaving Cutter and Skywise. But at least Skywise is alive, and at least they found a brand new wolf puppy. But there's still something in the beyond, something they could feel, and Cutter feels it as they continue their journey in this Forbidden Grove. And Cutter gets a sense of something, and he cuts the web and finds someone there, to his surprise. Someone that shouldn't be there. And this surprises Cutter because he assumed this person was gone. It's his wife, Lita, and his children. They pop out and she says his name, Tam. His secret name. The name that only your life mate knows. She reaches out to embrace him as well as the kids. And now Cutter has found his family. They went looking for him and they got trapped in the woods. Explaining what happened to them, Cutter's just relieved that he found them, that he was able to sense them, and he's overjoyed that he has his family, his best friend and brother in all but blood. And now they move together through this forbidden forest. And they go on to explain what's been going on, in the desert, how they've been fighting off different creatures, and how Pike has been helping out, teaching them how to hunt, teaching them how to kill, how to hunt. And also, this is the point where Lita decides that she was going to go on a mission to find her husband, because the other elves are actually holding their own in the desert, like Strongbow, and they're teaching the other desert dwellers how to fight, how to do different things. But when Lita left, of course, she had a few misadventures of her own. They ended up in the forest because she could sense Cutter, as Cutter can sense her. And she explains how they were there, and then they ended up getting lost, and then they ended up getting tangled in the web. And then he ended up freeing them. And of course, Skywise is injured, but Lita's a healer. One of the rare gifts that a lot of the other elves don't have. She has the healing touch. Magic flows through her. But Skywise says that he feels better and he starts dancing around the trees as in his nature to do. They find these willy-wisp creatures again. And one kind of flies straight towards Lita and hits her right in the back of the head. And of course, Cutter's not happy about this, considering they tried to eat his wife and they tried to eat his best friend and they're trying to eat his new wolf puppy. He kind of just grabs the wasp and that little wispy and throws it right into a tree while they go walking on. And now Cutter is doing his own gymnastics, for he was raised in the trees. This is a second instinct to him, and it's something he's missed in his years in the desert. The ability to flow, to move from tree to tree, to dance among his earthly brothers and sisters, to hear the leaves rustle in the wind. And Lita is surprised by this. Never really seen the forest in her life. Taken back in the beauty of it. But just like the desert, the forest holds its own dangers, its own mysteries. As Cutter and Lita embrace, and as they have their moment of embrace and passion, they find themselves almost wrapped up again. Man, these creatures do not give up. They are very persistent and very hungry. And they try to wrap everyone up again. And this basically pisses Cutter off. Cutter has a short fuse as it is. That's why they do call him Cutter, you know. So he's trying to find his kids, Skywise, everyone. And they begin cutting cocoons. And as they cut cocoons, more people start pouring out. And Cutter and Lita watch from the bush as they emerge. And they're not elves. They're human. Yes, these creatures hunt everything. And in a moment of mercy, since Cutter despises humans, as do the rest of his tribe, they let them go. And as they stop, two familiar faces stop them. Other elves from his tribe. They followed Cutter and Lita as well. They wanted to make sure that the chief's wife wasn't in danger. So they followed behind. And now, Redlance, his wife, and the family is united. For Redlance's wife is like a sister to Cutter. And they let the humans go, of course. And those little fairy folk are still flying around. And they explain when the big bird came and Lita left, they decided to follow, seeing that if they needed help. So they went on their trip, and yet they sensed something with the birds, something strange, familiar. But of course, as their horse took off, and Redlance and his life mate decided to follow through, making sure nothing happened, because they both know that Cutter has a habit of getting in trouble, and Lita has a habit of following him right into it. They decided to back them up. And now this is the point where Cutter tells them that they must keep going. They must fulfill this mission. They must find out what's calling out to them in this forbidden grove. But it might be too dangerous for his children, his cubs. As Strongbow, captured, is getting a headache from this calling, this evil, draining him, driving him mad. But what is it? What holds on to them, what's calling out to them, we'll find out the next time, won't we? And I'll catch you on the flip side. Yeah.